Hello and welcome to Monson Made This. My name is Michael. I cook vegan food, so if you want more vegan recipes and content, you should click that subscribe button below. Happy holidays from Monson Made This before we get too far underway. It's been a while since we've shot a recipe video, and I decided I wanted to shoot a twofer recipe for you. It's a holiday gift idea video meets a cookie recipe video. Only I can't take credit for this recipe at all because the only thing I did was switch out regular butter for vegan butter, but these cookies that I'm gonna make are called World Peace cookies. They are the best cookies I've ever had. They're so quick, easy to make. You can store the dough in the fridge or the freezer so you can make fresh cookies whenever you want them, and they're just super delicious and they feel super fancy compared to how much work you're actually gonna have to put into them. So I'm gonna be using my stand mixer today to make the dough. I already have a batch of the dough made in the fridge, so I'll be able to show you what the final product looks like. If you do not have a KitchenAid or a mixer like this, you can definitely do this by hand, super easy. The first thing I need to do is throw my vegan butter into my mixer. I'm actually using the Country Crock plant butter, and I'm using this stick plus 3 tablespoons, and it's just been softened to room temperature. You could pretty much use any of your favorite vegan butters. I really like this one. It's called Country Crock plant butter, like I said. It's not the regular Country Crock. It doesn't have any dairy in it at all. So this is going to cream for just a moment, but before I do that, because I don't want to be competing with the sound of the mixer, I'm going to be sifting my flour, cocoa powder, and my baking soda. I'm adding the flour. This is just all-purpose flour. This is just a cocoa powder I got at Target. And then this is just baking soda. And I'm sifting these together. This is to get any lumps out of the cocoa powder or the flour, just so that there aren't any lumps in the cookies. I haven't given you any measurements, but the full recipe will be linked in the description box below. Well, I have all of my dry ingredients sifted. Now I'm going to turn on the machine. I'm gonna let it go and just beat the butter for about a minute or so, and then I'm gonna start adding the sugars, and I'll let you know what those sugars are in just a second. While the mixer is still running, I'm going to be adding brown sugar. I'm going to be adding granulated sugar, and this is an organic granulated sugar. If you're trying to keep this fully vegan, you definitely want to make sure that you're using organic sugar or a sugar that is labeled char-free. Some salt and vanilla. And I'm gonna let this go just another minute or two. I'm gonna stop it in a sec to scrape down the sides, make sure everything gets incorporated, and then we will add the dry mix into this, let it go for just a couple seconds until it's incorporated, and then we're going to add this delicious chopped up dark chocolate, which I'm actually using this Ghirardelli, which, reading the ingredients, doesn't have any dairy in it at all. So
Ghirardelli?
Ghirardelli, isn't that what it's called?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm confused. It starts with a GH.
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli. I have the mixer on low. I'm going to add my dry ingredients in carefully. The author, creator of this recipe, Dorie Greenspan, she says that you just want to let this go until the flour or dry ingredients is incorporated in with the butter, and you don't want to let it go too long because you don't want to develop any of the gluten in the flour. It may be a little bit crumbly, she says, but that is okay. And actually, I'm going to scrape down the sides just to make sure things are coming together.
Looks a bit dry.
It does look a bit dry, but that's what she says it's going to be. I mean, the recipe, other than the vanilla, doesn't really have any liquid in it, but I promise it works. It's like a shortbread cookie, so it's got a nice crumble. It's super buttery, and you get that texture by not having a lot of liquid. So yeah, it does look dry. You'll see in a second, though. It will come together. Here is my chocolate bar. It's about 5 ounces of chocolate, and I just roughly chopped it up. You want different size bits. You want even a little bit of powder. This is Ghirardelli, which in between shots, I actually looked it up on my phone, and I'm right. So been trying to say Ghirardelli, which I've never heard that. Comment below if you've ever heard anyone say Ghirardelli, but we're going to put the ghirardelli, because apparently it's Italian pronunciation. We're going to put this chocolate into the mixer and just let it go on low until it's incorporated. 5 seconds. And that's good. It still looks crumbly, but the next step I'm gonna show you is like the coolest trick. I learned it from Dorie Greenspan in like another video. If you have seen my recipe for IKEA veggie dogs, you'll know the trick already. So let me clean this up and I'm gonna show you how we form these into a log. As you can see, this does look really crumbly, but it's a short dough. So that means when you hold it together, so it's like a pie crust, right? When you squeeze it together, it does keep its shape. And we're gonna be forming logs with the parchment paper here. So I'm gonna divide this in half. Half will go on each of the 2 pieces of parchment paper I have. And then again, I'll show you that really cool trick for rolling this up. And you just wanna kind of try to form like a small little log. It'll come together, no worries.
It looks a bit sandy.
It does look a bit sandy, but that's kind of what you want. That way it gets nice and flaky's not the right word. It just has a nice short crust. Does anyone watch the Great British Bake Off or anything like that? They're always talking about short crust. Also, I'm noticing crumbs are getting everywhere. If you have pups like I do who are always at your feet, just be cautious because pups can't have dark chocolate, so make sure to keep this away from them. Well, they can't have chocolate at all. All right, so here's the trick. Have it on my parchment paper, and I'm going to fold the parchment paper over, and it's in kind of a light log. I'm going to take a bench scraper.
This is just like that IKEA dog
This is just like the IKEA dog trick, which it's these cookies that I learned that trick. So fold it over. You want to put your bench scraper in the crease, so underneath the dough, but over half of the parchment paper. And then you're going to push. And what that's going to do is form a nice tight log shape. And it should be fairly even all the way around. And then we will twist the ends like candy, so it tightens those ends up as well. So I just continue rolling it. Oh, things are falling out again. Be careful of your pups. Twist it, and now we have a really tight log. And this is gonna go in the fridge for, wow, I did make a huge mess. This is gonna go in the fridge for at least an hour or 2. It'll stay in there for a couple days. If you want it to last longer, just throw it in the freezer. And then when you wanna make cookies, just pull it out, cut off pieces, and you bake them. So I'm gonna finish rolling up the second one, get these in the fridge, and then I'll pull out my swap out so I can show you the final product. Here is half of my dough that I made yesterday, which of course looks perfect because I made it off camera. And I'm going to take the parchment paper off. If you didn't have parchment, you could use wax paper, you could use plastic wrap, but you can't do the next step if you use either of those, which is to take the same parchment paper, unroll it, and then you can actually use that same parchment paper to bake your cookies on. Just, you know, repurpose. What a hack. Exactly. And again, I still got some chocolate flying around here, but just be careful of puppies. Okay, so I have a serrated knife. This is the tool that you want for this job. And you want to slice them. I'm just gonna even up the end a little bit. Chef snack.
You know, it's a bit like cutting sausage.
It's a lot like cutting sausage. See why I use this technique for making my sausages? So you want to cut them, she says cut them about a 1/2 inch. I like to go somewhere between like 1/4 and 1/2. And you want to just carefully saw through because you got to get through not only the dough, but the chunks of chocolate. Now, see how this broke apart? Not a big deal. Just put it back together and then put your cookie on the sheet and proceed. So if they break, not a big deal. Just stick them back together. Ooh, perfect one. They'll be great. So I'm just gonna finish cutting these up into little discs. My oven is already preheated to 325, which seems low. Normally cookies are done about 350. So this goes in a 325 oven, Fahrenheit 325. The recipe says to put it in for exactly 12 minutes, that they might not look done, but still take them out at 12 minutes. They are done. wait for them to cool to room temp, or, you know, serve them the next day, as we're going to do, because we're going to be gifting these cookies.
Or just eat the dough like I did. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you ate the dough last night? Was it really that good?
Yeah.
I'm sort of limiting my sugar intake, so I actually haven't been consuming these. All right, looks like I get 2 more out of here. Pups, again, this is not for you. I'm sorry, Hopper. I love you. I love your presence, but it just isn't for you. And I need to resituate these. So it looks like we got a dozen out of this log and a little chef snack. All right, again, 325 oven, preheated. This is going in there exactly 12 minutes. It's gonna come out even if they don't look done, and we will cool them to room temp and give these a try. Excuse me, Odie. How about we do apples instead, since I can't give you cookie? Is that good? Frozen apples just don't have the same cute crunchness. One more? You guys deserve 2 little apple slices. There you go. Being so cute and patient through this process. It has been exactly 12 minutes, so I'm going to take these world peace cookies out of here, and I'm going to move them to a drying rack. Now, the recipe says that you can serve these warm. Actually, you know what? They're a little soft. Let them rest on here for a couple minutes until I can take them off, because I'm going to destroy them if I try to take them off now. So I'll maybe wait like 3 or 4 minutes and then try to put them on the drying rack, and then I'll let them cool to room temperature. Actually, Ben asked me why these were called world peace cookies, and apparently a neighbor of Dorie Greenspan said that these cookies were so good that if everybody in the world were to have one, there would be planetary peace, which, you know, is kind of a nice sentiment right now. If there's anything that we would all want in the world right now, it would be world peace and an end to COVID, obviously. Last year, the Christmas video that I did for homemade gifts included homemade butter, jalapeno jelly, and an instant hot cocoa mix. This year, I'm giving, oh, they're still a little soft, world peace cookies. They're warm, gooey, chocolatey, but I gotta taste them. The magical thing about these cookies, I mean, there's the texture that's amazing, but there's also like a really high salt content. So it's like richness of the butter, slight bitterness of the cocoa and chocolate, the sweetness from the 2 different kinds of sugar, and then of course the saltiness that just balances everything out. So good, and now I'm a mess. Well, I was gonna say you can put them into these bags and give them away as Christmas gifts, which I'm going to, but who am I kidding? I'm gonna save a few of these for myself because they are so good. You need to give these a try. Again, the full recipe is going to be linked below. I didn't make it. I just veganized it. I used vegan butter. Everything else is the same. It's sort of a magically perfect, delicious cookie recipe that if you give it a try, I know you're going to love it. So thank you all for watching. Thanks to those of you that have subscribed to this channel. Thanks for you that have joined the channel as well. And if you would like to give me a Christmas gift, give this video a thumbs up and go ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't yet already. So thank you so much. Have a great holiday season, and I will see you next time. Bye.